Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mr. Boltzmann at Lapeer High School, and we are looking at lesson 4, part 1 of our drawing unit. And today we're going to be taking a look at a boat, a simple boat, and then steps going up northeast and then northwest. The level of difficulty here is increasing a little bit, but it's pretty much the same as the steps that we did in the last lesson. We're just now going 2 different directions. So let's get started. If you take a look at this boat quickly at first, one of the drawings that you're doing for your pre-test and then your post-test is to draw a boat. Now I noticed that there were a number of people, and myself included, back when I didn't know how to draw very well, who would draw a boat kind of like this right here. They would just put down very simple lines, and that was their boat. And that's, about what sometimes people can do. The whole idea here is to take this and now put it into a northeasterly direction and then also make it much more 3D. So for this lesson today, what we're going to do is going to take a sheet of paper, 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. You're going to fold it in half and fold it in half. I have this one pre-folded just to make this a little quicker. Fold it in half and fold it in half like what we have. Up at the top, could you please write lesson 4, put your name and the hour. And again, just for consistency, I'm just going to put hour 2. If you're in hour 3 or hour 4, or if you're drawing online, it doesn't make so much difference. Okay, so this is how we set this paper up. And I'm going to be working across the top here. Mainly right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on this upper left-hand section. So I'm going to zoom in on this a little bit so we can see this a little bit easier. Now, drawing a boat, drawing a ship, drawing all kinds of different ships and boats can all be looked at in a similar way. If you look here, you can see that I'm going to take this ship, this boat, and I'm going to move this in the direction northeast. Again, a direction northeast is going to look like this right here. There's my northeast direction. This is my northwest. So I'm going to mainly be dealing with these 2 directions again. As you look here, it looks kind of difficult, but it's quite simple. The main idea with this boat, and it's just a rowboat, is that you take this angle right here and you put it down very carefully. Now, this northeast does not go flat across like that, and it doesn't go way up in the air like this boat's tipping way up. It's just going to go up at a gradual angle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in this back line of this boat, which is going to be this line right here. I'm going to highlight it in red so that you can see it a little bit easier. This line right here goes northeast in that direction. So that's the line I'm going to start with this boat. So with my pencil here, I'm going to put a very light line, and I'm going to put it up above the halfway a little bit because the boat's going to go underneath here. And it helps if you know what I'm drawing, what direction I'm going with this. Okay, so that goes northeast. So that's very similar to what we've done. You could do 2 dots and put a dot down and put a dot up and connect them together. That works out fine. All right. So over here, what I'm going to do is the back of this boat is going to come down a little bit. So I'm going to come down about a finger length from this line, and I'm going to come over to the right of it a little bit. And I'm just going to put a dot right there. Just put a dot right there. And then I'm going to take the front of this boat and I'm going to round it just a little bit, just round it. And then I'm going to bring it down and connect it to that dot right there. I'm going to bring it down just slightly more than that dot just because it looks like it needs just a little bit more space. Right? This angle here is going to go northwest. So if I need to take the edge of the boat out just a little bit more to get that northwest, then just go ahead and do that. This right here gives you the foundation for this boat. And you can do a lot of different boats on this if you wanted to. You could put sails on it. You could put masts on it. If you want to bring the back around a little bit, you could put a rudder on it. You could put a motor on it. You could do all kinds of things because the basic idea is the same. So as this goes over in direction northeast, I'm going to now, right on the inside of this, now if you made your boat a little bit smaller than this, you could put this line on the outside too. I've done it both ways. So I'm just going to mimic this line or copy this line just to the inside. However that line goes, I'm going to go ahead and do it again, just like this. And then in the back, this is going to go northwest. This gives me the thickness of the top of the boat. Now, from here, this is the part of the boat which looks a lot like a box. So I'm going to take it from this corner. I'm going to go straight down like this. And you can take it down as far as you want. If you wanted a really skinny little boat, you could do it small. If you wanted a fatter boat, you can do it bigger. I'm going to take this line over here, straight down again. Now my hand is covering up just a little bit of it, but I'm just drawing it how I naturally would. In the front, however, it doesn't go straight down because you want your boat to cut through the water. So I'm going to take this back at a little bit of an angle like this. Now, this is a little bit tricky, but not very hard. Just like what we did with the flags. When you did the flags, you copied this angle. This is going to copy the angle a lot like a flag would turn. So I'm going to take this up. It's going to go northeast, northeast, northeast. And then right here, it just starts to turn a little bit. So I'm going to just turn it right there, just slightly. And then in the back, this is going to go northwest. Now, if I drew this line down a little bit too far, I can very easily, and I can very easily fix that by just taking care of this little tail right there. Because when I start, I never know exactly what it's going to be like. All right, so here's my boat. That's the basic parts of the boat. Now, inside of this little rowboat, I'm going to put a chair or a seat here and a seat here. Now, if you look at this seat, you say, well, I can't draw that. Well, sure you can. Sure you can. Look, this back of the seat goes northeast, and this part of the seat goes northwest. It's just a box. It's just a skinny box placed up towards the top. So in a rowboat, I would start up towards the front somewhere. I wouldn't put it way up there, but right about here. Just put a line that's going to mimic this line. It's going to go northeast. So it's heading up and to the right. Now this is a little bit tricky, but you have guidelines to look at. This line back here goes northwest. This goes northwest. This goes northwest. So I'm going to use my pencil. I'm going to use my brain. I'm going to use my thinking that I already know, because when you're drawing, you think. You have to understand some things. It's not just all pure drawing. It's not all just pure observation. You can use your brain too. And some people say, well, drawing is all right-brained. I disagree. Drawing is a skill that uses the right brain and the left brain, and you go back and forth between the two. The right is usually the observational part and creative part, and the left is usually more analytic. I think it flips back and forth all over the place. So this is going to come straight down, just looks like a little box there. In the back, this is even easier. So I'm going to put a seat back here. I'm going to go northeast. I'm going to go northwest. And you can't see the edge because the edge is hidden under here. Now you could put the bottom of the boat in, or you could at least put a shadow for the bottom of the boat down here. And then in the front, if the light is coming from the upper right-hand side, which we've done a lot of, if you do that, the light's going to hit here, but right back where the light can't get underneath here. There's going to be a shadow there. There's going to be a shadow towards the top more. And then as it comes down, that light will filter and bounce around. This has to do with physics. The physics of light is really interesting. You can spend your whole life studying it. Leonardo da Vinci wrote books on the physics of light and what light does as it bounces around. Michelangelo studied light. All the great artists studied light. And then when we get into color, they study light and color. And oh my, it gets pretty interesting then. So as you're looking at this, you can put a little bit more shadow up there. That makes it have some depth. I'm going to put some shadow on the back of the seat here, right there, because that's not going to catch a light. That's going to catch a shadow. If you wanted to, you could put a couple guys in here fishing, or you could put some people in there rowing, or there are a lot of things that you could do. Now, one of the things that we did earlier is we did a cattail. So right over here, I'm going to do a cattail. just a curved line like this, and it's like a hot dog on a stick, something like that. Now I'm going to do some leaves coming up off of this. If you look at cattails in the ditches, and I've been looking at them lately as I've been riding my bike around. I have been riding more lately again, which is good. You can just have those come up and they can come down like that. And then with the foreshortened circles, remember to take your circles out to the side. So if this cattail is a little bit of water, it's sitting in the water right there, it's in the shallow area. These lines are going to go out to the side and then they're going to come in close. We did already a cattail in one of our lessons when I was practicing with you in class in a Zoom lesson. So that looks pretty good. If you weren't in that Zoom lesson, just take it out to the side and then bring it close in here. Because remember, that's foreshortening. When you deal with these foreshortened circles like this roll of tape again, and you deal with that roll of tape and you're putting that in, so your circles are going to be long and narrow. Long and narrow. It's going to foreshorten. All these lines are going to squish here. Now, if you're having some fun with this and you want to do a little bit more, you can say, hey, what if there were a fish here? You know, I could do a fish lip right there. I could do a fish lip right here. Like this fish is coming up out of the water. I'm going to make him kind of a cartoon fish. He's got a big old eye right here. Maybe this fish is coming up and maybe he's looking at this little fly right here and he's going to go after that fly. And let's just say he's got a fin kind of coming up out of the water a little bit like that. And then I'm going to take this down. Along the bottom, this is going to sit on the water and he's going to have some foreshortened circles around him. He's a very, very simple fish. He's just got these big lips right there. And then in the back, I'm going to whoop, 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 whoop. I'm going to give him some fins in the back. And you could give him a gill. You could give him some scales. You can have fun with that. This fish is forwards. I mean, that's a pretty big fish compared to that boat. So that looks pretty cool. And then in the background back here, let's just say I wanted to, maybe I want to make this shoreline come in something like this. And then maybe I'd want to put a dock back here. Maybe you could go like 2 lines, take these northwest, maybe 1 line northeast like this, and you could come down on the sides and do a foreshortened circle here for the dock, a foreshortened circle here. Now I'm just kind of sketching, just kind of thinking and sketching, and I might have to erase a little bit because as I'm thinking and sketching, I might maybe change my mind a little bit. That's cool. You could put some lines northeast like this, very similar to the sidewalk we did on the house on lesson 2. So as you start sketching and drawing, you can let your imagination start to run because now you have some skills and you could put some more weeds and stuff back here. You could put some more cattails back there. You could put some hills in the background. You could put houses. And all of a sudden, you have a whole scene. You don't just have a boat, but you have a whole scene. And you can let your imagination run a little bit. You could put some lines around this boat where the water would go, some foreshortened circles. That's kind of fun. Oh, and I could put a little bit of shadow back here. You could name your boat. You could put a plate on the back of it. And all of a sudden, a really simple boat turns into a whole scene. You can use your imagination. You can do more with this than I'm doing, even if you want to spend a little bit more time. That's kind of fun. I'm going to put a little bit of texture here, just going up and down. A little bit going sideways like that. Just a little bit of texture. So I have a whole scene in a boat and a fish in the front. He's kind of fun. He's kind of fun. I'm going to shade in his mouth just a little bit more like that. Shade in behind his gill. Give him a little texture. Little scribble. There we go. He's fun. All right. So there's a boat. It's going in direction northeast. So have some fun with that. All right, we're going to do one more today with this lesson, and that's going to be a set of steps. Now, this set of steps, I'm going to just jump right into it. Okay, take a look at that. Woohoo! Did well. That looks good. That's fun. All right. So I'm going to come over here to this one. We're going to do some steps. Now just take a breath. Say, oh, this looks hard. I don't know if I can do it. Well, sure you can. Sure you can. It's just like the steps that we did in lesson 3 earlier this week. Just like lesson 3. These go northeast, these go northwest. You can do this. Don't get scared. You can do this. I'm just going to go 3 steps up. I'm going to have a landing, and then I'm going to go 2 steps over that way. This takes a little time to do, but it's a lot of fun to do. And it's kind of a hoot. All right, so I'm going to start out with 2 dots kind of far apart. So if I'm looking at this page here, I'm going to say, oh my, I'm going to go a little bit more than 4 fingers apart. I'm going to go quite wide. So I'm going to take my fingers here, I'm going to spread them apart a little bit. So I'm going to start way over here, way over here. Okay, so here's my fold. Here, let's fold this over so that that's not a problem. Okay, there's my fold. So I have 2 dots, and they're like almost a finger in from the side on this one. It's really important that you get these right because this is the foundation, and always the foundation for what we're going to do here. Right, so I'm going to go just a little bit bigger so we take out some of that background. Okay, now if you were drawing a line straight across there, I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to bring it like half a finger down. So I have a really good northeast and a really good northwest. Again, these northeast and northwest lines, I keep showing this over and over. These northeast and northwest lines are so important. I really want you to start to understand those. All right. Now, instead of doing 2 steps like we did last time, remember the 2-step? Whoop, whoop, we're going to do 3 steps. So we're going to go boop, boop, boop. So I'm going to go up, look not as high, just I'm going to make it a little smaller. And then I'm going to go northeast. All right. Then I'm going to go up, and I'm going to go northeast. And since we already did this once, I'm going to take this a little faster. Then we're going to go up, and then northeast. And now I'm going to make room for a landing here. This is going to be a place where you could walk up these steps and you could stay there for a minute. It's a landing. So I'm going to take this down. Now my dot right there missed just slightly. So I'm going to take my trusty eraser and just take that out of there. Whoop, it's gone. I love erasers because they really help. All right, now on the other side, I'm going to take up from this dot over here. I'm going to go straight up, about the same height that I did here. And now with this one, this is where it gets a little tricky. Remember from your 2-step, now it's a 3-step. It's kind of like a dance. A 2-step and a 3-step. Drawing is a bit like a dance. You learn your steps. You learn how to do these angles. And at first, it's really awkward. My mom taught me how to dance. Oh my goodness, I was so embarrassed. She would drag me out on the dance floor at weddings when I was a kid. Kids were invited to weddings back then, and they would do dances and they'd do waltzes and things like that. So she would drag me out there. Okay, this is going to go north, east. And I would say, I don't want to go. But she taught me how to do a waltz and how to do a polka, which is just a fast waltz. And so I learned how to dance from my mom, as she embarrassed the heck out of me. Later on, oh my goodness, I was really glad I knew how to dance because all these other dances come off of those. Those are great. So when my wife and I went out and we learned how to swing dance, and we learned that it was a lot of the same kind of steps. Okay, this is going to go up. So sometimes you get embarrassed a little bit in life when someone takes you out. This is going to go northeast. Excuse me, west. This is going to go northwest. This is going to go northeast. But I'm really glad that she did. So with my kids, especially my daughters, I would drag them out on the floor too, and I would try to teach them how to dance at weddings so that later on they know how. It's really fun. My wife and I went to the Lapeer High School East prom back quite a few years ago, and we ended up teaching a whole bunch of kids how to swing dance just by going out and dancing. It was a hoot. You can find that on YouTube still. You go to Lapeer West prom, and there's my wife and I. We're doing some swing dancing with the kids. So learning how to draw is like a dance. It's learning the steps, literally, as you're drawing these steps. So this is going to go up. This is going to go northwest. This one's going to go northeast. And then this one's going to come northwest again. So there are my 3 steps. Very similar to my 2-step, only it's just one more step added. Now, here's where it gets a little tricky. but it's not horrible at all. All right, so I'm looking here. I have my red line for my northeast and my northwest, which I just did. Now, when you get to this point, you get 1, 2, 3 steps up. You take this last step, and if you see where I made a red line right here, you're going to continue this top step straight up. That's the trick. That's the trick. In most drawings, there's a trick. So I'm teaching you my tricks. Then you know them too. It's kind of like magic tricks. Most magic is just optical illusions. Most of it is. And I'm teaching you the optical illusions to make this look like it goes up in steps. So you take this right here, and you're going to take that straight up. Then here I'm going to go straight up. I'll even take that. I'll do that in red for you so you can get that. Get that step right there. Get it good. Then here, this is going to go northeast. That's going to be the fascia of the next step. Then I'm going to look at this northwest line right here, and I'm going to go northwest. Whoop, that's shooting up in the air a little too high. I'm going to take that back down. Let's take that down just a little bit. That's better. Then I'm going to go northeast, or go straight up. And then I'm going to go northwest. And however this falls, I'm going to take this straight down then, right here. Bonk. Just lands right there. All right, so here's what I did. From this step, I went straight up. That's the fascia for the next step. Northwest, straight up, northwest, straight down. Okay. Then to do the top of this step, from here, this is the fascia. So now I'm going to do the top step here. So I'm going to come over this way, north, west. This will go northeast. This will go straight up. And if this is way too difficult while you're watching this in a Zoom class, you can go back because I'm taping this, and you can go back and watch it again. If you really got stuck and you're frustrated, you can go back and watch it again. And then you can slow me down. Hey, Mr. Bozeman, you're going too fast. You can mute me. You're talking too much. I don't want to hear those stories. That's fine. So this goes up, northwest, and there are your steps. Now, between there and here, the biggest difference is, well, I'm going to put some shading in. So I'm going to shade this northeast, west. I'm going to shade this northwest like this on the bottom step. I'm going to shade this one northwest. See if you shade it along with the angles that it goes. You're using these surface lines and shadows. I'm going to do this one northwest. And that really helps these steps to pop out. Now, if you want to have them pop out even more, if you want to make them go even more than that, take right at the top of the step and make it a little bit darker. Right at the top of the step, make it a little darker. That's a trick. It's called chiaroscuro. It's a trick that they've been using since the time of the Renaissance, 500 years ago. Most of these drawing skills I'm teaching you are Renaissance things. These aren't new, these are old things. But you can use these old things for your drawings and make them new again. That's the cool part. All right, so if the light's coming from this side over here, these steps are going to be in shadow. And then this part right here is going to be in shadow. I'm going to turn my paper just a little bit, and I'm going to go up and down, up and down, up and down for this, because I want this to look more up and down. I want this to have a feeling of height. So I'm going to shade it in a different direction. Look at that. Now again, if you want this to have a little bit more depth to it, put some darkness right where the light meets the dark. That's that chiaroscuro right there, right along that edge, and that will help. You can put a little bit more shadow right there. Now, if you wanted to do cast shadows on these steps, you could do those also. I'm going to just put a cast shadow on the bottom here a little bit. Remember, the cast shadow is going to come out in a northeasterly direction. You could put a cast shadow on each of these steps here, like this and like that. You could, if you wanted to, say, well, I'm going to put a potted vase up here, like right here on this landing. I'm going to put a foreshortened circle, and I'm going to put a vase right here. I'm going to have it just angle in a little bit, kind of like if it were a bucket. I'm going to put some shadow on this side. And I'm going to have a plant growing up out of that. I'm going to put some flowers up here. These flowers I'm going to kind of scribble a little bit. I don't know exactly what kind of flowers I want to make. I want to make an inside rim on there, put some shadows. I can put some flowers up in there. That's cool. And yeah, that's kind of fun. And if you wanted to put a little creature up here, you could say, well, all right, I'm going to have a little guy sitting up here. He's just going to kind of be a body. I'm going to give him some eyes. His hands are going to stick down, kind of like an M&M guy. And I'm going to have his legs sticking out over the end right there. Let's make him smile. Kind of put like a little M&M guy up there. You could put a little mouse over here. You can do all kinds of things. These are just little creatures that you can add to it to make it fun. All right? So I think that's probably enough for this lesson. This is lesson number 4. Lesson 4. Let's open this up a little bit. This is part 1. And you can see that I'm starting to use a little bit more imagination, create some different kinds of things. And using these foreshortening ideas, you can have a lot of fun with your drawings. So they don't have to be just exactly as I show you. You can add a lot of your own personality to it. And when you turn those in Google Classroom, I love to see some of your personality with that. All right, so I'm going to sign off with this. This is lesson 4, the boat and the steps going up direction northeast and northwest with a couple little critters and things on them. And I hope you enjoyed this. Hope it was fun. Hope this was helpful. And you guys have a good day. Thanks so much. Bye.